Hi everyone, my name is Anne Marie Band. Today is Sunday, September 3rd. It's about 4:30, and we are doing a little bit of a market recap for the Benzinga Pro platform. We're going to be looking at a couple of choices that everyone's asked for. We'll start with Celsius, and I mentioned this in one of the chats that we had. I can't help but think that Celsius is sort of running because of Coinbase, and people think, oh, Celsius, this must be blah, blah, blah. But it's not. This is a drink company, and it is off the rails. So look at this. High on the linear regression channel for the month, for the week, for the day, and then Friday, it popped into that zone and then rotated down. So I think, I can't really remember if we were talking during market hours. I think we actually were. And I said, hey, listen, this one's going to come in a little bit. And it is, and it will, okay? Now the question is where? And I suspect that we really come back to this area because of the low volume node. But I could be wrong. And so we're going to have to watch this fade and then make some pretty tough decisions, probably by midweek, Wednesday, so much, but very bullish. Do you want to short it? No. And here's why. We really don't know what's going to happen here. Pullbacks are definitely buy zones. Came to the 25% level on the channel, right? This is 25, that's 75. So it's coming in this area. What we want to see, the traders bounced off of the low of the prior day, this day, and then when they bounced, they could not recapture any of the new days, any of the new highs of the current day, much less the high of the prior day. So my suspicion would be it's got to lose this area before you think about shorting it. And it's such a powerful chart that shorting it, you really have to stare it down pretty dramatically for that to happen. I do suspect that it rotates, but everything here is incredibly bullish, so much so that it's a little bit nerve-wracking. Now, here's the good thing in our favor. It is sitting below the close of August and is sitting below the open of September. So it means that people are in a profit-taking mode. And in my mind, that's this 50% range of rotation where a chart breaks out and then comes back and reestablishes a new level of higher support. So I believe everything is running in our favor. We just need to have time on our side, which is really what we always need. All right, let's look at gold. Very often, time is going to be the reason that we win in the options market. So let's take a look at gold. Gold is a little bit of a mishmash, bullish in general, but let's take a look at the monthlies. Why am I focusing on the monthly chart so much? Because I believe the weeklies or dailies and the hourlies look dreadfully noisy. And so I have to step back to some place where I go, you know, that doesn't really feel that noisy. I'm going to try that. So let's look at it. Look what's happening. We had a topping formation within a bullish environment. Pardon me. Let's hope I don't die over here. Joking. We had a topping formation, and what we can see is that buyers are really trying to hold the $16 range. I mean, really trying to hold $16. Oh no, this is Barrick gold. Yes, okay. Somebody asked for Barrick gold. So, my suspicion is that if we can hold 13, because this is downward flow, what it has to do is bounce, get above the open of the prior month, breach, pull back, and make a higher low. So you're looking for a positive retest that allows 16 to be your base. Otherwise, this chart is going to get back. Now let's look at GLD. This is the Gold Trust. And this one is, well, it doesn't really look like Barrick Gold at all. But it is still dancing around this congestion area. Notice it's above the close of the prior low, excuse me, the prior month, but it is also below the open of the current month. And so what we want to do is look at the behavior at this break between 180 and 181. That's really tight, right? That's a very, very tight formation. And so I would leave these, here's my thing about gold. I think gold is buy on a very deep dip, but with the dollar still strengthening. Now the dollar it's had a magnificent run, but I am telling you, there are so many people that are like, the dollar's going to zero. I am going to say no. And let's look at this. Let's just look at price. All right. Low, low, holds it. Higher low, resistance clearly breaks down below these guys. Everybody's like, oh yeah, the dollar's going crazy. It's not going to be worth anything. And then it turns right around and moves right back up. Here's the thing. We have the most powerful central bank on earth. And they are going to do things that are going to be beneficial to the US dollar. That's what they're going to do. And if it's beneficial to the US dollar, they're going to try to make sure the US dollar is strong, but not too strong. And I believe they're walking a tightrope there that they're not going to be able to manage. And if there is a direction that the dollar is going to take, I suspect it's going to be to the north. Okay, so we've got up on the month, up on the week, down on the day, up on the hour. For the last 20 days, every pullback has been a buy zone in the dollar. Now, as it goes, not always, but as the dollar gets higher, gold will move lower. I'm going to use GC. Gold moves lower as the dollar goes higher, and gold is sitting here in some sort of peaky action that's high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Lower high, I think it's headed lower, and I think it's headed lower because I believe the dollar's headed higher. I just do. But outside of that, this notion of buying gold right now, not really in, hello, that's the last video, not really in the cards right now. I would say, hang on, where do you know that the chart is going to have some real upside pressure? Well, my thought is this. What's it doing? Fails to hold higher, right? You could say double top, I'm going to short it, but it's still very bullish. So fails to hold higher, breaks support, recaptures, and fails to regroup and make a new high or even the prior high. So if I'm looking at this, and this is actually a 5-minute instead of a month, I'm shorting right here. And so this is a short action opening that could take us 175, 170, and then, maybe all the way down to 160. At which point we would look at things again, but this is a standard formation of me selling the bounce after a break of support. So that's my thought there. All right, let's take a look at the next one, ROKU. I think ROKU's in recovery, but it's really got some very tight price action. Now, here's the thing. Why would I say ROKU's in recovery? high, low, higher, high, higher, low, higher, high, higher, low, higher, high, higher, low. Okay? Now, here's the problem. If this thing can't hold 81, it's going to have trouble down here, right? And when it refreshes and tries to hold these areas around 77, 78, and it can't, then it's going to rotate down. But as it sits, high, low, higher, high, higher, low, higher, high, higher, low, higher, high, higher, low, it's just pulling back into a new support zone. So come tomorrow, or Tuesday, sorry, if we look at the chart, pullbacks equals buy zones, somewhere around 77. Listen, don't just go and buy at 77. Wait. Let it get there, see if it drops, and then bounces, right? The trend appears to be like they want to hold that upside. And it's been basing for quite a while, right? This thing has been basing since May of 2022, right? So that's what that is doing. My suspicion is, because we might have ourselves a down week next week or a sideways next week, that the pullbacks are going to give us buy zones. You just have to watch for them. You could draw yourself a channel or a trend line if you like and say, all right, we're going to look at that. As long as it holds 74, we're going to be okay. And you could position long in there, right? I'd give it a little room. It's very consumer-based formation. PayPal. All right, take a look at PayPal. Holy smokes. What a train wreck. Obviously, we've looked at PayPal a few times. No trend here other than sideways carving out of motion. So that's a range-based formation. Is it above the close of the prior month? Yes. Well, that means buyers are trying to move higher. So where would they try to move? Well, they're going to try and get around here, is my guess. Right? So let's take a look on the weekly channel and see if they see... Yeah, that looks terrible. Above the open of the month. Yeah, it's really sideways. My suspicion is that the best trades are going to be somewhere around here, or a bounce that breaks 66 and then pulls back and then recovers 62. Right now, all we have is a double bottom, and what we need to see is, one, the break above frontline resistance. Looks like we're here, but we also have to see a natural pullback that sends us into a higher low. So here's how it looked the last time they did it. Watch. Breaks out. Following week, it pulled back right into the resistance zone, and then the very next week, we were able to trade. Sorry, folks. So this one is really where we're at here. Let's see next week. If it pulls back and holds the floor, you're in good shape. If it doesn't hold the floor, step back, because the chart is still trying to flesh out bottom, right? I don't know how PayPal is doing, but I can see from the linear regression channels that the chart is in a deep heap of trouble, right? Every single one of these formations is negative. Every single one. Doesn't mean that it can't bounce, but every single bounce is a sell zone. And from a weekly event, looks to me like 75 ideal breakdown to begin, right? Because it is making a new low here, right? So we don't expect it to break out here, but if it does, and it pulls back a little bit, or if it does straight away, we could have a squeeze that comes here, because it feels like there are a lot of people that want to be short PayPal. Not really sure why. I'm not into the payment business that well. I don't know it that well. Let's take a look at NVIDIA. Everybody's talking about some mystery customer they have that is doing X, Y, or Z. I don't know. You know what? I think some of these articles come out because people are thinking to themselves, holy cow, this thing's got to roll over. So let me put out some bad press and see what happens. But traders are still willing to dip. They really are. So let's take a look at what's going on from the monthly perspective. Notice we are below the close of the prior month, below the open of the current month. So what does that mean? It means they're trying to find a support floor. Where is it? Well, it could be 480, right? Which is old resistance, new support. We're sitting above it. Or it could be 465. So what are we thinking? Well, you know, who wants to short a stock that's moving straight up like this? Well, I might be inclined to, but besides that, what we really have to be concerned about is, am I making a new high? So get this. I didn't make a new high last week. I made a lower high last week. I still made a higher low, but I made a lower high. And so it tells me that if I break above 500, everybody's off to the races again, we're buying. If it doesn't, then I'm moving a sideways formation into old support areas. All right? And that's really what we're looking at, either 440 or 410. Very low volume profile here off of the last earnings event at 370 to 380. All right. Next one, Palo Alto Networks. Oh, for heaven's sakes. I'm exhausted. Okay, take a look at what's going on. First, let's look at the monthly. Love it when we begin the month and we can see what's going on. Take a peek. Palo Alto is, and I tell you, I am so clumsy with a trackpad. Broke higher, so it had a high low and then a higher high and a higher low, but this was the line in the sand. So notice it gets up here, it can't hold the open of July, and then it closes at the end of July and it bounces, but it can't find the open of July. And so now we're in a retracement zone. And I have a lower high and a lower low right here. So what's the storyboard? I am below the close of the prior month, and I'm below the open of the current month. And so my bounces, if they don't hold 245, it's going to be a short. Because it's carving out the floor. So what do you do? If you go, all right, Emery. Sorry, folks. All right, Emery, what do I do here? I want to go short Palo Alto because I can see high, low, lower high, lower low, lower high. And so where do I expect it to go? You can come straight out and go, hey, listen. If it gaps down a little bit, 238, I would sit and watch it, right? Intraday trading. If you're looking at this is a clean topic formation. So the short could come all the way into 224. Maybe it would do it in a day. Maybe it would do it in a week. Volatility is getting much higher in my mind. Now the VIX doesn't show that because the VIX measures 30 days realized vol. Instead, we have to look at something that's much tighter. But what we can see is that this is an area that you could short. And here's a fantastic thing. Let's say you short at 244, comes in at 244. If it breaks 247, watch for the first pullback and turn around and go long right at the open of the month. To me, that's what I would do, right? Because it's telling you, hey, listen, that's a natural double top, but nobody's coming. And if I find that buyers are sitting up there, I got to get out of my short. And so I'm going to turn around and be a buyer. And so far, that's really what's happening on every pullback. So I think it's going to break down, but if it doesn't, you know you can turn around and go long right away. All right. Snow. Everybody's talking about how great snow is. I don't know. I can't tell you that my brain is starting to shut down, though. So let's go to the monthlies. I don't like this at all. Oh, see. All right. So here's what we're gonna do. Oh, forgive me, folks. Topping formation, clearly, right, all the way to 200, right in the middle of congestion. It is at the 10-year VPOC, which also happens to meet the 3-year VPOC, and that's because, you know, the stock just went public a few years back. All right. The VPOC on the daily for the year is all the way down at 141. It feels very sideways to me, but same sort of thing. If I hold 155, I'm going to look at that and go, you know, I'm going to be long. It's going to be simple. I'm going to be long if I hold 155. And if I lose 155 and I don't immediately bounce back and get up over 157, I'm going to head down into this 140. This is my thought. I think this chart is really trying to create a base. I think it's going to come into 126 at this juncture. That's my thought. All right, Tesla. Yeah, that's, take a look again, right? High, low, higher, high, higher, low, higher, high, higher, low. But then, come August, I can't even get above the close of July. And then I break all the way down into frontline resistance, 208, and I move all the way back up, but I can't close up over June. And so now here I am in September. I'm under the close of August. I'm under the open of September. And I'm breaking through these formations. So my thought is any bounce is a sell zone. I think this is a short. Now, where am I going to be wrong? This is what you always have to consider. Where am I going to be wrong? Listen, if it recaptures 256, that would be a surprise. Why? Because it hasn't done that in the last 2 months. It has not recovered the prior holds of the last 2 months. So you can say, all right, I'm bullish Tesla, so I think it's going to hold. I'm going to buy 245. When do you know you're going to be wrong? If it loses 240 and it doesn't immediately recover. Right? This is difficult space, but it is clearly telling us that there's downside pressure and there's no supply above us. Nobody's buying higher. Everybody is trying to buy lower, right? And so that would move to maybe the 208 region. I don't think I have anything else. Oh wait, somebody asked me about NEO. I don't really trade these. You guys know that I don't. I'm very I'm very concerned about exposure across the pond here. And I don't know. I mean, it looks like it's holding. Here's the thing. We had so much negative press in what's happening in China that it's getting a reflexive bounce. But that doesn't mean it's a long. All right? And so I'd be very, very careful there. Okay, folks, that's it for me. I'm actually going to try and get some sleep. Take it easy, and I'll see you soon.